Welcome everyone to Star Trek Trek RX. Wait, what?
Oh.
I can't start that again. That distracted me too much.
Yep, there it is. Shy brought the thought maker.
Welcome.
Either that or it's the Thessarius, I can't tell.
You're not gonna get a clean
I'm
intro.
literally
I won't
not.
allow it.
Welcome to Star Trek
Keep
Trek.
rolling.
We reviewed the battle. I've literally got no cohesion tonight whatsoever. It's as if my
Still
mind is
much more coherent than the script. So.
Indeed.
There you go. That's a perfect transition.
We have just reviewed and watched The Battle. Now, this was directed by one Rob Bowman, who also did Where No One Has Gone Before, Data Law, which is one I'm really excited for us to review, Elementary Dear Data, Q-Who, and Shades of Grey. So you take from that what you will. This story was done by Larry Forrester, and this was the only thing he ever did for Star Trek. Don't we
I'm
just love
shocked.
Hold on, he wrote the story, but the teleplay was Herbert Wright, who also did the teleplay for The Last Outpost. I think he's probably the one to blame for the tedium in the script.
Very much so. So yeah, the battle, which has Picard finding his long lost love of an old starship, being controlled by Ferengi from afar, and all of us were just generally bored. I don't know.
I know. I spent most of it aroused.
You and I have very different perspectives on the world stars. Guys, what did we think about this episode? We were having a blast watching it, I have to feel, but mostly just ragging on it.
This reminds me, some guy said, when you come across a really bad driver, instead of flipping them off, he just starts giving them a thumbs down. They get even more upset at that. I just feel like giving this episode a slow thumbs down. That's all I need to say about that.
Okay, you know what? So I'm going to start us off strong here. I think you're going to appreciate this. If you took out the addition to canon of the Picard maneuver, would this episode and all of the physical media that it's ever been printed on, the VHS tapes, the Blu-rays, the DVDs, would any of them improve upon the exact same physical media blank? Like, if you had a blank disc, and if you had a disc with, like, this on it, which would you rather put in the DVD player and watch?
Well, so it does tie in. There's a season 7 episode where Bach comes back and has like a fake. Picard has a fake son, Jason Vigo, and I do.
Oh yeah,
that
episode
episode
sucks.
No, I kind of like that episode.
It's bad.
Well, we'll get to that in about 15 years. So save your thoughts on that one.
Imagine worse than that, Stars. Imagine you are stranded on a desert island. Your plane crashes, and you're waddling around the beach, and then you discover out of nowhere a TV with a really long extension cord. Don't ask. It's plugged in, and a DVD player, and you're like, well, hey, at least I can pass the time. And it's this episode on repeat.
Well,
I would use the extension cord to kill myself.
I had a very... I've told the story before, but when I was on holiday once and they had a place with a DVD library, I had a choice between Into Darkness or Star Trek Nemesis, and I was just like, Star Trek Nemesis it is. I'm gonna watch some Star Trek.
I don't think it's that bad, but it is very tedious.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
No, I think tedious is the right word.
We've watched episodes where it's like, boy, this is just offensive. Like, I couldn't show this to someone and recommend Star Trek. I could show this to someone, they would be bored, but they wouldn't be like, I'm never watching Star Trek again. They would probably just be like, oh, that's kind of a nothing burger.
It's a lot of... I feel like if I was to show this to someone else, I would just be apologizing for the characters. I'd be like, no, Troy's better in Face of the Enemy. No, Riker's better here. No, Picard's better here. No, Wesley's better in the Final Duty, and things like that. And you kind of go like, this isn't the characters at their best. This is probably at their most tropey. Troy reads something, crushes the medical doctor. Riker's the first officer. Worf notices something.
Well, it's more than that, Idol. They're objectively bad at their jobs, every one of them. And so we just got done watching The Naked Time, where the entire point of the episode is that the whole family on the Enterprise comes together and does their job at the peak that they can, even in the odds of adversity when they're all becoming drunk. So here we have ship's counselor who isn't counseling Picard after revisiting something traumatic from his past. We have Wesley being completely insufferable. Not only that, but also coming to the eventual solution before anybody else in the Enterprise, even Data, has an inkling of what's going on here. Riker is surly, even when he's in a diplomatic situation with no, the Doctor. It takes 3 different acts to even start to consider something that's not physiological is causing the headache. Nobody does anything right. Sorry.
Okay.
Shy, who was
So
just,
I want to bring
God.
the Wesley thing. I think might be the most egregious because, like, when you think of TNG season 1 Wesley, he is not actually as bad as you remember, right? Like, you go back and watch his episodes, and you're like, no, it's fine. It's fine. It's not great, but it's fine. And then you forget about moments like this, where he comes in, delivers plot critical exposition, and you're like, well, there's nothing for him to really do there. Adults. Huh. And you're like, I want to fucking strangle you. Oh, you little shit!
It's almost up on par with a future episode, which is I forget the one with the Samaritan snare, which is like as far as it's concerned, with far as women are concerned, I have no problems. This is,
I'm in
oh
complete-
my
No, that's
control.
hilarious. That's hilarious. This was just grating. If I was in like a situation in which my captain was under threat and I saw a little 16-year-old shit kid go, "Puh, adults," I'd be like, "Cool, you're getting off on the next fucking starbase, you little shit."
Don't care who your mother
Well
is.
done to Shay, who's wearing his cortical stimulators also.
You like that?
The man who
Oh,
literally
cool.
had to sleep through this
Pager's,
episode.
Pager's tape. I literally fell asleep for a few minutes in the middle of this episode.
We were trying to
Nothing.
supersede your dreams.
So boring. So boring. It's just so dull. And there's a few good sci-fi elements in there, like you know the aforementioned Picard maneuver. The crew ghosts were a great little flashback.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Gimmick, but oh my god, everyone seems so bored, especially Wesley in that scene. Oh yeah, I detected these frequencies. Yeah, they're just like this. Adults.
Yeah, whatever.
Will Wheaton stated that this is the episode in which Wesley went from, in Wheaton's own words, mildly annoying to vehemently hated character. Talking
Right.
about how having Wesley figure out the
Yeah.
problem and the solution before the senior staff was, quote, perhaps the worst way to help the audience accept that this kid is going to be part of the main crew. Wheaton also remarked that the scene in sickbay where Wesley tells Crusher and Troy that he, quote, glanced at the scans while Crusher was reviewing them and, quote, in that brief moment, magically divined exactly what the rest of the professionally trained crew, including the hyper-smart robot, hadn't noticed. The patterns in Ferengi's in Picard's scans are identical to the blah, blah, blah. Wesley cements his relationship with Trekkies by muttering, "You're welcome, ladies," adults, after they leave the room. Oh, that's pure genius writing there, guys. That's not going to alienate a single fan. Bravo.
Why is Will Wheaton here? I'll just read off the rest of his review.
I believe
He's way more scathing than I am.
Yeah.
So to piggyback on Dan's point there, I think 2 people stood out to me. Yar, who had almost no dialogue, but she was always professional, always on point. Nothing was amiss there. And then 2, for like a quarter of his dialogue, I liked Patrick Stewart, and I didn't like the second half, and I didn't like the headache stuff. But all the stuff in between was really, actually, because this is season 1 itis, where Riker is trying to be like highfalutin and ethereal and evolved, and he's not that. Troy is always getting dialogue that doesn't fit her station as counselor. Crusher's always terrified of Picard, but in this one, Patrick Stewart felt like mid to late season Stewart early on. When he's not like emoting, he actually had some good dialogue, some good reactions, and then I'm like, all right, this is a Patrick Stewart we'll all come to love in a few seasons. So, but yeah, that
Stewart,
was maybe 10% of the episode.
I did like Spiner's facial mugging, like comedy facial mugging.
Red alarm! Red alarm! Red alarm!
Gay BH2, thank you for following. Thank you. Hey, how you doing? That's a great name. Would you like to know a fun fact? Frank Corsatino, who
Is it
played...
fun?
It is a little bit fun. Frank Corsatino, who played Diamond Bok in this episode, he would come back into Trek 2 other times, not including his recurrence as Diamond Bok. Can anyone tell me which 2 episodes he reappeared in?
Menage a Trois.
He did, yes, he did. He played a fellow Ferengi in Menage a Trois. And what other episode? A little bit more of a deep cut.
Menage a Troy.
No,
No, but
anyone?
the pun doesn't work otherwise.
No, he was in fact.
Is it the Enterprise?
It's not Enterprise. No, close, but not quite.
The
No,
Phage.
he played Gegis, another Ferengi in Voyager's Inside Man, the season 7
close.
episode. Yeah, close, very close. Another Ferengi-centered episode, but yeah. So Damon Bock obviously will come back for Bloodlines in season 7 of TNG, but yeah.
Okay, so what did we think of the Ferengi overall? Because they're all trying to do something to make themselves feel alien. The hands, or the speech, or the head tilts.
They were
Was
like
any of that working for any of you?
They were like a step above the last Outpost appearance, which isn't saying much, but they did try very slowly with the first officer to give them a little bit of character development. They're obsessed with money, they're females, and they still got those little head twitches and stuff that thankfully they just beat out of them by DS9 and just go, no, they're just normal people. Come on, what are you doing here?
Another character who also did his job very poorly is Damon Bach.
Yeah.
Bach, right. Who is not a particularly good Ferengi. So yeah, second appearance, and they're trying to establish him as these financially motivated, and now his only motivation is revenge in this episode. Misleads his crew, which First Officer Kazago is taking him out of commission at the end of the episode for. So it's another bait and switch here, where we just we don't get what they wanted to advertise. It's confusing as an early watcher of the show.
Do you know what I just realized?
The Kasago,
Damon
the travel
Box.
website.
Travago is actually the name of the website.
Oh, right. Sorry. Different.
There you go. Damon Bach is just Captain Benjamin Maxwell done badly.
Yeah,
You're thinking
he's
about
not lying to himself, though, is he? He sets out for revenge. Maxwell just goes, no, it's for the Federation. It's for
Yeah, but the thing is, they exposed the lie at the end of the episode that it is about revenge.
Of
really.
course, yeah, but yeah.
I mean,
So
they're really...
there's a kernel of a good idea here.
But what were the Cardassians doing in the Inara spell? Come on, you got to tell us.
Oh God. They're really trying for a Wrath of Khan thing here. Like, they're really trying for a Wrath of Khan thing here. But there's no, historical precedent with these characters for us to care about whatsoever. And,
if they'd have done that instead of Bloodlines, in Season 7 of TNG, they might have had the nuance to and the character evolution to pay it off. But,
But to answer your question, this appearance does no favors for the Ferengi trying to develop them as an ongoing. It's a miracle that DS9 was able to kind of redeem Ferengi as an alien race.
It took years after DS9 finished before people went, actually the Ferengi episodes are good, and we're like, yeah, we know, come on.
Yeah. And they reminded me of, if you ever look at behind the scenes footage of Jim Carrey in The Mask, he's doing all these facial expressions trying to make him more cartoony. Then they just added CGI over top of it, so it was all pointless. So if you see the behind the scenes, he's making all these weird
I don't think he can turn that off though. That's just
but that's what the Ferengis felt like to me in this episode. They're all doing these weird Ferengi type motions the entire episode.
Well, it's also a case of we have to give them these are actors who are not being given the best of lines, and they also appear to be having to act through some really annoying teeth prosthetics because we bring that up all the time in Discovery season 1 and 2. It bears repeating here. Those look really uncomfortable to wear, so I don't feel like we can really give them if I was an actor in that situation, I also would be looking for body language things to help me, because it's I can't talk from the teeth without sounding like a fucking weirdo, especially not with the Roddenberry dialogue flowing out of their mouths, or whoever it was that wrote the script. I would also be trying desperately to do anything to make my character have an impression on the aliens.
So season 1 Discovery Klingons.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I am. As you know, I'm a disco apologist. I love season 1 and 2, but yeah, the Klingons prosthetic is why do we have to say Kayla? We've got the anyway. We digress.
All right, I'm going to disagree. I actually liked certain aspects of what they did. The one that jumps out is I like that he's not financially motivated, and it comes a little early because for that to stand out, they need to first be established as financially motivated, which they haven't really done yet. But if let's say they had done that, and we already know that aspect of them, him being driven by revenge only is a fine motivation. His son, he believes, was murdered. So what would he continue to put profit above his son's death? That's kind of cold. That's kind of unrelatable. I like that aspect of it, but that needed to be established. And then number two, I think we called it out during the episode, is when the first officer threw his captain in the brig because that wasn't a profitable venture. That's like, oh, okay. That aspect of them, they can also mutiny, kind of like we can. They can relieve their captain. They're not. There's no blind loyalty there. Their loyalty is to money, not to, hierarchy. And so there was a little bit of character development there, which I think was fine. But a lot of the hand stuff, I'm sure that's mostly direction. They had one episode, Last Outpost, to base this off of. Everything else was going to be whatever the director told them to do, or if they thought of some little move that might help them stand out as an actor.
Yeah. Like, I feel like there really is a kernel of a good idea here, because the idea of a vengeance motivated Ferengi is fine. The idea of delving into Picard's past, and this isn't really a story you could tell with Kirk, because Kirk was pretty explicitly the Enterprise is like only real command, or the only one that he really cares about. Whereas Picard's been set up as a seasoned commander. There's a lot of material here that you could delve into if you had even an inkling of an interest in a psychological aspect to it, or if you have even one or two scenes aboard the Ferengi vessel between the captain and his first officer, because God knows you have so many fucking recurring ones between Picard and Riker where nothing is accomplished.
They'd have to build a set for that though, and they just couldn't.
They have one. They have the little lab where he's doing his dumb bullshit.
And why didn't they use some part of that background for the calls into the white void were just weird.
Yeah.
I told you,
It's
they were
like
calling
you're-
from the Q continuum.
Oh, it's a virtual background when you're on a Zoom call. It was either that or a beach.
It was on Blur.
No
You
beach
have to
to
pay
walk on.
Latinum for the real good backgrounds. So,
Speaking of beach, I remember as a child watching this episode, and I thought that just Star Trek: The Next Generation was the coolest thing, and so I worshipped every episode I got of the first season. It didn't matter. I was I don't know how old I was, 7, 8, 9.
40.
So this is all fantastic to me. Maybe, yeah. And I remember specifically, I wanted a ball. I wanted to buy a ball at the local store that was the same color as the one in this episode, so I can come home and draw on it and turn it into a Ferengi thought control device. So
they did do
yeah.
it.
Be careful, you're going to get shy going on the lack of merch, and then we're gone.
Oh god, yeah. Don't even
They can
start.
start doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go on.
So two
It's also
moments.
Start.
There you
So
go.
two moments I want to ask you guys about the direction. Two moments jump out to me. One is the snap zoom at the end on the ball, which was goofy and not necessary. The other one was when they first beam aboard the Stargazer. We get this low shot, and you see the destroyed stuff and the coal everywhere, and then they kind of pull up and show the crew. And that one was a good introduction to the Stargazer. But we've talked before about how formulaic Star Trek shooting is. Was there anything else that kind of stood out to you guys from a director's point of view?
There were a few moments when Picard was having his big, flashback in his quarters where, a few Dutch angles, a few low angle shots, a bit of directorial flair was on show. I don't think the director was necessarily at fault here. This is not, freaking, you give this to any number of Star Trek directors, and it's what can you do? Try and make a cake out of these ingredients. What the fuck are they gonna? Idle, what are you doing?
No, hang on. Try and do what Frank's doing. That's not going to work. Oh,
Yeah, Frank's in the continuum now.
There we go. There we go.
There we go.
I am
Bored we are
gonna
with
hold
this episode
the
is- Just playing
a better
backwards.
director could have pulled more out of this episode.
Really, with this script?
The script was so.
Yeah.
The script's bad, but you know what? That's the thing. A director should be able to look at the script during pre-production and be like, "This is terrible. This is death." Can we?
Yeah.
You
I
don't
think
just
we've
show up.
established that TNG season 1 that's not the case.
Well, I mean, you don't just show up and they're just it's not like directing karaoke. You do have some interaction with the script before you get into it, and this should have
Actually,
been.
there was
fixed in
one other thing
pre-production.
that stood out, and kind of piggyback on Dan talking about everyone in their roles. When they beam aboard the Stargazer, they're close in on Yar, and she has a line or two. And then they pull over, and Worf, 30 seconds later, steps out from the turbo lift, and he gives his line, and then they move over to LaForge or whatever. And they do this this thing where it's like everybody has to get in their lines, but it feels kind of awkward and clumsy the way they do it. Instead of it being conversational, it's like, okay, you read your read on the situation, then you read your line, and then you read your line, and that felt a little bit clumsy to me.
Comment from Overtide in the chat. He says something Armin Shimmerman has said on the Delta Flyers podcast. By the way, if you're interested, Armin Shimmerman and Terry Farrell are now on the Delta Flyers podcast watching DS9.
Ooh, nice.
Something he said is that they had to emphasize to the new Ferengi actors that the makeup tells the audience that you're an alien. You don't have to play that in their acting, and they were very much like. There's a funny shot when they says like not for profit, and both the subordinates look like they physically look like they've been shot. They're like. Like very like hands in the air, like, oh, what are you doing? You know, it's very kind of like Gremlins style of, it feels like they're an animatronic puppet rather than an alien. But you contrast that to like Quark's demeanor in DS9 in some of the later series. He just wanders around going, "No, I am the Ferengi,"
Well, yeah, it's just a complete lack of nuance and subtlety. Like it's case of like you think because if you think about businessmen, right, is that they have a certain energy to them, and like I think they mentioned that like the biggest energy is like Gordon Gekko or whatever. It's like the biggest, from Wall Street, and it's like, okay, I understand that like especially 80s businessmen were like slick men in suits who could not turn it off, Patrick Bateman style, right? But they didn't act like that. They didn't. They aren't making obscene hand gestures behind everyone's back, like. They could at least approximate acting like a human. And it's like, why would anyone ever enter into a business transaction with these people? Why the fuck do they like accept the Stargazer?
Don't
it's
think
so
you understand
obviously a
profits.
trap.
Like clearly you do not understand.
Yeah, clearly
the great
not.
material continuum. Going back to talking about the bridges, fun fact: the Stargazer was actually a redress of the Enterprise battle bridge, but they had props from the movies, obviously, which were filming around the same time. It was actually the command chair, was Kirk's command chair from the Voyage Home. So it was from the sort of remastered one. If you've not watched our Roddenberry archives, look through, check that on our YouTube, and you'll see us rant about that chair for quite some time about how it is absolutely so terrible. Do you want to know a fun fact about the Stargazer as well? No, that chair's terrible.
Why? Because of the
so
flip-down
impractical.
armrests?
Those armrests are horrible. It doesn't look comfortable.
Well, they're seat belts.
Yeah, that's it. There's no command functionality whatsoever. Where's your gadget? Where's your coffee holder? Come on. Can you guys tell me what class of starship the Stargazer was supposed to be, and what's the fun dubbing fact here? Does anyone know?
So it's meant to be a Constitution class. It's meant to be a Constitution class.
It was, and the reason they changed it to Constellation is when they did the ADR, they could easily lip sync Constitution to Constellation, and it wouldn't match. It wouldn't seem amiss.
Too obvious. Yeah.
It does seem weird that they decided to just create a whole new class on the fly rather than use pre-existing.
Well, I think they were working out the internal chronology, and they were like, we were already doing like Search for Spock, where we've established that the Enterprise is like 40 years old, and that's apparently out of its depth, and we can't possibly refit that. Yeah. So the idea that Picard is this far along and he's still using a Constitution class makes him seem like he's using a fucking Model T, like I noted the fact that he's got a Constitution class model in his ready room in this episode, which I think is the only time you ever see that. I don't feel like I've ever seen that before.
No, I think that gets radically changed to the Stargazer. Okay, gentlemen, let's go on to our... Oh, go on.
Oh.
No, please.
No, I was just going to say, like, any kid in that era, when they were drawing, like, little starships, would always just add nacelles. So the Constellation class is like... fan service 101. Like, let's add more nacelles.
My favorite thing to do was to have a 3 nacelle starship, just because that was different. Sure. Like, why would you? Yeah, you see the 4s, see the 2s. It's like, let's have a 3rd one. That'd be different. And I think
Matt Jeffries would hate you.
Yeah, he would. There was one at Wall 359. One of the ships had 3 nacelles, and I was like, I'm going to make this my favorite starship. I can't remember what it was, but there it is. Anyway, gentlemen,
all good things featured.
I can't remember what it's fucking called.
There are so many starship classes out there. Come on, I'm not that much of a nerd. Shut up. Best or worst moments of the episode, please, gentlemen. Frank, what was your best and worst moments?
Best is hard to pick from. What was good about this 44-minute endeavor we just went through? You know what? There were moments. Otto kind of alluded to it. There were moments that Patrick Stewart was doing some good acting. Like you were seeing, hey, like this is like Shakespearean guy. He can do some stuff. This is going to be okay. And a few of the people had like good moments. I also translate that to as crappy as the Ferengi might have come across. I appreciate that they were trying something with them, and it was something new, you know. But that's all stifled completely by my worst, which everybody's going to steal the same one, or I'm going to try and let somebody else pick the obvious one. Just the writing, it sucked. I mean, and I know this is season 1, but just like examples, first officer to captain direct, like when he communicates to him in the beginning, bullshit. That's record of a card. When Crusher comes in the room, you wanted to see me, sir? Fuck that. No, it's Jean-Luc or captain. It's not sir. You know, you're only with your dead husband because this guy went to work instead. Like, you don't call him sir. And she does it like twice or 3 times. Just bad dialogue, and just he's very snappy. Riker's very everybody's just very on edge. Later on in the show, thank God it kept going, they're laid back, and everybody breathes and takes a moment to deliver things, and it's just natural. This is just like very tense, very high strung, very season 1. Oh.
Yeah, I was gonna
Starship Ferengi. Starship Ferengi.
Starship Ferengi. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a best moment?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
The best moment was Shy going to sleep.
Yeah, it was a little napping. No, he said Stewart had good acting. That's what he said. Had mentioned that.
Oh, okay.
Go on, Shy then.
Oh yeah, I mean there's so many worse moments. I gotta pick that.
Please say the best
that
moment
Wesley
when you fell
moment.
asleep.
I mean, yes, the best moments are the introduction of the Picard maneuver, and that little bit of napping. I know. I'm sorry to steal the Picard maneuver, and the worst moment is, it's so bad, but it's Wesley's just solving the problem in sick bay. Is just so lazy, and he's so bored as a character and an actor at that moment. And it just reflects how the audience is feeling by that point of the episode. And yeah, those are my best and worst. But the nap was good.
I'm going to take host privilege and cut in here. I'm going to say my best moment was the ghosts on the starship. I'm going to steal that one from anyone. The ghosts on the bridge at the end. They were very well, like, for the tech at the time. Like, I was reading up on it as well. Like, there weren't actors on the stage, and they just did some clever effects. Like, they actually comped them in from a different source, added effects, and sort of did it kind of like on a green screen. And yeah, really good. And I think there was some actual fire on set as well. I really like that. My worst moment is just that there was a scene on the bridge, and everyone just stood up, said their lines, and kind of sat down. Or they stood up and sat down. And it was just very wooden. Troy said her bit about feelings. Crusher said her bit about medical. Riker said his bit about, like, the captain's over there. And it was just like, this is by the numbers, Star Trek, we're going to do this now, and that's how it's going to be done, nothing else, and then we're done. And it was just said to me, it's just like, no one cares about the inflection or the intensity of the script. It's just like, we're going to do it, then we're going to film the next scene, and we're done, lunch, let's go, cut, off we are. Dan.
So, my favorite... I really liked the effect shots of the Stargazer, and I even remarked earlier, it looked so good. It looked like a painting on the view screen, and then they actually gave some action shots of the ship. The ship coming about just looked fantastic. The actual execution of the Picard maneuver, we had the light exposure preceding the ship move. Oh, just fantastic! Everything about it, almost like it was made just for the teaser to get people to watch. Like, you know, just these brief little moments of brilliance we got. Worst moment immediately after Wesley saving the Enterprise. was when Troy and Crusher walk all the way up to the bridge to
Oh, I know what
report
you're
on this
saying.
critical information they just received, and then Troy's standing there and tries to take the lead and says to Crusher, "So there was some." Low intensity carrier waves that we've picked up. Like, oh, just bring the boy on the bridge again. Let him. Anyways,
A boy.
the boy.
Dude, Troy was brutally bad in this. She has Worf cut off the communication while Picard's talking to him, and she can read Ferengi minds, which breaks canon.
Yeah.
And then she like has him turn it back on. It's like, what? What are you doing?
They also been through shields multiple times. The shields are up,
Yeah.
but they're
Multiple
down,
times.
but they can go through them, but they can't. Go on, Shy. No, go on, Stars. We've already had you,
No,
Shy.
I'll say about it. I think.
So, you know what? I'm gonna go with my worst first, because I need time to think of my best. The sheer lack of obvious, like, it's tied into the writing problem. The sheer lack of X happens because of Y, and then it's like, okay, cool. Where are Q through Z? Like, where is the rest of the letters here that explains why this happened? Why does the Ferengi Thought Maker make it through transport without anyone recognizing that's a weird thing? That had to go through transport. No one thought that didn't flag up on the fucking transporter pad as something weird.
It was hidden in the box of all of Picard's sex toys. That's why he was very keen to get over there. They just like, oh no, that's normal. That's fine.
Fragile. Do not scan.
This way up.
And it's, yeah, like you said,
Ideally.
all the bullshit about like, you know, we can go through the shields, but except we can't.
Yeah.
Bot can go through them, except we can't. Like, the sheer lack of like just closing up of little plot holes that would be so. This feels like a first draft. This feels like this had like 10 extra minutes of like extraneous dialogue that could have been condensed down and cut through, and then we're like, no, fuck it, just film it. There feels like a complete lack of thought here. I also have to bring up the fact that like I'm gonna ruin, you know, this is my vengeance for having to go last, like, or close to it.
Oh no, so yeah, I was gonna say. Go on.
The Picard maneuver doesn't make any sense.
What?
It doesn't work. I'm sorry, but the idea that like you bang into warp and then like you create two images of yourself, the only way that works is if you don't have faster than light sensors. Guess what? We're in Star Trek. You have to have faster than light sensors. Otherwise, your entire fucking universe falls apart. You can't see when you're going at warp what's ahead of you if you don't have faster than light sensors.
Okay.
If an object is traveling at faster than light, you can pick up which one of these is real and which one's not.
Maybe they just
Also,
didn't have them turned on.
It's a bullshit thing. Doesn't make
cli-
any sense.
The climax where a headached Picard is going to do the Picard maneuver, and Riker's like, "Hey, I know what you're going to do." He's fucking already right here, and then he's going to do the Picard maneuver, which includes going to warp right here and then stopping right. Like, no. No.
Yeah, it doesn't work on this scale, and it doesn't work in a universe with faster than light sensors. It just doesn't. I'd be fine with it in something like The Expanse, but this Star Trek, you have faster than light sensors. I'm sorry, this maneuver doesn't work.
No, it's not
Sorry,
just a
I have
visual
to-
image. The time-space dilation of the warp bubble creates two
Fuck off!
actually
Fuck
identical
off!
ships at the
Fuck
same
off!
time. Look, I'm
Fuck
sorry you don't understand the
off!
science.
Fuck off!
Okay, calm
What
down.
is-
Calm down.
What is he doing? He's just going back and forth. I mean, I could just lock on.
God
Practically
forbid
difficult.
you fire your phaser at two different things at the same time.
All right, what's your worst moment?
That was my worst moment.
No, that's his best moment.
It's all downhill from here.
Sorry, I just destroyed the Picard maneuver, which was like the coolest thing about the entire episode.
You can
It
still
doesn't
pull a
make any
shutdown, it's
sense if you
fine.
think about it.
You know you love it.
Best moment.
Sorry, take your time.
I'm trying here. You took
You can
all
just,
the good
just
shit.
hit the pass button.
You
We all
can.
get.
Everyone gets
No,
one.
I refuse. There's gonna be one episode down the road
You
where
get
I'm
one
gonna
every
say
20
Carl
You're
episodes.
saving
like-
it.
I'm saving it.
Deanna,
I'm gonna
Deanna's
be
hair.
like, there's worse episodes than this. There's worse than this. There's gotta be something in here.
Mm,
Deanna's hair is fire. Deanna's hair is fire in this episode.
I could say that Worf is very handsome, but that's not true because he's more handsome in every episode.
It's your gimme, isn't it? You can't say that.
I can't say it's too obvious. Okay, you know what? I'll give it the briefing scene where Picard is doing his explanation of the Picard maneuver, and like the way he slips and says, and refers to Vega. That's okay. I actually thought that the rest of Patrick Stewart's acting in this episode was like subpar for him. I kind of expect better from him. I know I'm probably going to offend Otto by saying that, but that one scene, I was like, okay, yeah, that's a decent scene. There you go. That's my best moment.
Otto, tell us how much you love that scene.
Not that scene, but yeah, I'll start with my best is Patrick Stewart. He's talking to Crusher. He says, "The fight at Maxia, I destroyed an entire vessel, an entire crew," and his lower lip quivers, and you can feel that weighs on him. She said, did you have a choice? I don't know anymore. I just don't know. And he sells the confusion really well. He sells the guilt really well. Maybe not enough for the entire episode to be based around it, but he did a lot of heavy lifting for the A plot in that scene. I really liked it. The worst was just the overwhelming tedium. 26 minutes of a headache. Riker and Data with the "in English, please," that fucking trope in the ready room. How everyone's got to get their shit in. We all have our lines. We all step in front of the camera and then say them, and then the camera moves to the next person. It was really tedious. Yeah, Troy couldn't explain what she was just told by a child 5 minutes ago. It was just really... And the funny thing is, the pacing actually didn't feel that... Maybe because we were riffing so hard on it. It didn't feel that slow to me, but it felt really tedious the whole time. So, bad. I'm going to blame... Herb Wright for the teleplay on that one, because the story I think has some interesting elements, but just really tedious episode.
I think it's everyone. Everyone okay? Did I know this out? Yeah,
Someone is dodging, but they're not going to speak up.
I feel like someone's left out. I'm looking at you, Dan. Okay, in which case, let's go over to our rating stars, please. What is our rating criteria for this?
You got to hit the...
Oh, I got to hit the button. Yes, we have a button for this now. We have a...
I can show you my rating code.
Schiller rating 3.5. Associational rating norm -3. That's much too low a rating.
It's much too high a rating.
Seeing an unsatisfactory rating on a member of my crew.
One day we'll watch a good TNG episode, and on that day I cannot wait.
Stop it. We have
the Biner episode is coming up.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, please start.
All right.
What is our rating, please?
Okay, so because I thought it was hilarious, I was originally going to go with fairly heavy chests out of 10.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, okay. You guys get to choose, because I also picked obscene Ferengi hand gestures out of 10. Which one would you prefer?
No, fairly heavy chest.
Fairly heavy chest.
If Worf says it's
fairly heavy
you
chest
know.
out of 10.
Okay. Otto, start us off. We'll go reverse order.
All right, I was the high watermark in the pre-rating. I might still be the high watermark. This is 4.0 fairly heavy chests. I saved 3 point whatever and below for, like, I don't really want to watch this, or it was actively detrimental, or this or that. I just thought it was kind of boring, but there were some good elements. We're seeing Stewart come out of his shell and learn his character a little bit. We did get one or two elements, like with Riker when he made a joke and smiled. I'm like, oh, there's the Maverick that we all know. So there were elements there, but it was just very poorly written, like just 6 points right out for that terrible writing. Some cool stuff directorially, and then with the Ghost fleet and stuff. So yeah, 4.0. I think I would rewatch it again, but probably not without someone I could riff on it with.
That's the beauty of the bad episode, is better in company. Go on, stars.
Oh, this is worse than I remember. I forget. I think I gave it a 6.5 in the pre-rating or something like that. That is way too fucking generous. This is like a 2.5 fairly heavy chest out of this for me. Like, or you say you could watch this again with a friend. That's the only way I could contemplate watching this again. I don't think I'll ever watch this episode again, not unless I can help it, because it's just there's nothing to it. Like and it's such a shame because like all of these concepts, I mentioned, like Damon Bock is just fucking Benjamin Maxwell, and like there's like a lot of good stuff to be mined out of the Stargazer and all that history, and it's just this is what you shot your shot on fucking a little fucking cube sitting on a sphere, rather, just sitting in a chair. That's it. That's your emotional climax. Shoot the goddamn thing. Okay, whatever. Fine.
Snap zoom.
Don't forget the slow mo.
They shoot to the bridge, and Geordie's just holding it, kind of looking at it, going, "Wow, Oh, so cool. Like,
Geordie, notedly not an engineer, by the way.
yes.
Not yet.
Like, why is Data not doing it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's 2.5. It's just a bad episode, and like, I could have brought up in the worst, but I was already on a tear. But like, freaking, oh, we're the 24th century. We don't have headaches. Fuck off. Fuck off. Fuck off, Roddenberry.
Shy.
Yeah, I started at a 4, right? Drops right down to a 4. I started at 6. This drops to a 4. It's just it's so boring. The introduction of Wesley's terrible rainbow sweater, the anti-Semitic Ferengi sort of like tropes. like that sweater. Well, that sweater's become iconic now, right?
Yeah.
But at the time, you were like, why this sweater?
Because he represents all departments.
It's not good. Like even if the stripe had been vertical or something, it's just not. Horizontal stripes are not good in space.
Wait, hold on. Are vertical rainbow stripes strictly better than horizontal? What's the hierarchy
yeah. That's
there?
just the way. That's just
Yeah,
the way
they go faster stripes then.
That's right.
That means your groin is the end of the pot of gold after the rainbow. So.
That's right.
It means that your crotch has been
Troy
Doppler
joke,
shifted.
but I don't-
You've been Doppler shifted.
Yeah, there's no adult. So.
I'm joining Otto in 4 land. Yeah.
Four fairly heavy chests.
Yeah, it only gets the 4 because of the Picard maneuver, essentially. Otherwise, it'd be a 3.
You mean that maneuver that doesn't make any sense?
All right, calm down.
Tell you, if you understand the science.
It's meant to trick them visually, not the scanners. They look and they say,
Why
"Oh, it's 2 places, fire," and they smash the button. That's.
You have sensors. You're in space. You really gotta rely on what your eyes are telling you.
Dan, please.
I understand this episode's place. You know, they had some budget to spend. They wanted to make something beautiful. They wanted to get the aliens in there. I can only imagine. I haven't watched the teaser for this recently, but I can only imagine it's Don Lonfontaine or whoever going, a mysterious alien from Captain Picard's past, motivated only by revenge. This time on Star Trek: The Next Generation. You know, just all the parts are there. You know, it seems like it should work, and it just doesn't. And I think I still remember this episode fondly. I still liked all the fiddly bits and the DJ sphere, and just everything just looks great. But I just
DJ sphere.
When I try to engage my mind with this episode, it's like I've got a Ferengi thought device interfering with it, and I just can't get my head around it. So yeah, some severe drag from just nobody being able to do their job effectively. But I'm still going to stand on a 4. I think it's watchable.
Wow.
Just not good in any stretch.
Falls all around. I'm going to cut in here and say this is probably a 3 for me.
Hold on. I gotta say, I think Frank has upgraded his gimmick from playing cards to backgrounds from the episode. I would like to see this carried forward to other Trek Treks.
Absolutely.
Thank you for actually making the Picard facepalm from this episode into a JPEG for me. So I
It
appreciate
looks like he's doing the curly and Mo, like, no!
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'll give this a 3. Again, like you, Dan, I remember this a lot more fondly than I was, mostly probably because of the Picard maneuver and the cool ghosts and the like, oh my god, it's the Stargazer, it's his old ship. Like, the lore implications are better than the episode itself. But yeah, I had kind of forgotten how bad and wooding all the acting in, and how everything is just poorly plotted out, and it was the fact that we were just riffing on it the whole time, just kind of like, you know, and if I think back, it's probably one of those episodes I had on like the second monitor while I'm doing something else and going, oh yeah, that's cool, and then do something else. So I probably wasn't probably paying attention the first time. So yeah, that is a 3.
Yeah, because we always bring up that kind of metric of like, oh, if you stop talking during the episode, it's probably got at least like some pathos, so like a good scene going on. I don't think we shut the fuck up for a single moment.
We went non-stop, yeah. Finish us off, Frank. That's your nickname now. You'll now finish us off, Frank.
Finish me off, Frank.
I saw this episode outside talking to your wife.
Oh, yeah.
A female.
We'll get that.
In honor of one of the reasons I do sincerely say most of us are still around, no name namer, who said the addition of Ferengi automatically he gives this +5.
Wow.
I too
Jesus.
am going to add +5 to my rating in honor of No Name Namer.
But it started at -5.
And it started at -3.2, and its final rating is a 1.8. Fuck season 1. Fuck this episode. Don't call me again until you're in season 3, please.
Can we do peak performance next?
Sure.
Oh, I'd love to do Peak Performance.
It's
Peak
so
Performance
good.
is such a good episode. Peak Performance might be a 10.
Oh wow, it's
Pretty
really been
good.
that good.
Dude, that might be Wesley's best episode too.
Holy shit.
I can't think of a flaw with that episode.
The
We
game
will.
is Wesley's best episode.
We will test that. I will test that assumption at your convenience. So
You may.
I may.
You may, sir.
Who's going to be my chadich on this occasion? Okay. Thank you everyone for joining us on this review. That average is now a 3.2. I just want to see where that breaks down on the on the aired episode. Where are we? Let's have a look. Can't be that low. Oh yeah, here we go. So it's better than A Man Alone, featuring Huey Lewis and the
For
News.
sure.
But it's not. It is not as good as Captive Pursuit, the Tosk episode. So that's where it says. But
That one is similarly boring. I think.
it's worse than Angel 1 apparently, according to us. Which is
Probably about right. Angel 1 you can at least Angel 1 you can at least make fun of.
That's a
Like,
3.7.
I still man,
Angel 1 isn't
I love
boring.
fucking Huey Lewis in the News. I forget when I called that guy Huey Lewis during our watch through. I think we all just cracked up.
Dan's constant joke about the giant truck lug nut, I think, saved Angel 1 for me. The
So it's
Ferrero
about
Rocher
chandelier.
box.
As well,
and the
this
chandelier.
is worse than our review of Terra Nova, which was a 5.3, which is currently the most watched. Well, Terra Nova is now the most watched Trek review on the channel at 1,200 views.
Imagine.
For no reason. Who knows? YouTube's a weird place. Anyway, go watch that review. Apparently, it's got something magical about it. Anyway, thank you all for watching. We'll be back with Peak Performance. It's going to be our next episode. You've called it out. Let's do it. I feel like maybe we can make this a thing. We're just going to call the episodes out we're going to review instead of doing my... Neymar!
Oh, got him.
I need to
That restraint. There you go. There you go.
That's the new mariachi, I think.
That is. Anyway, we'll be back next time. Live logs and proper. Ta-ra.
Nighty
Night, shy. Sleep tight. Don't let the Ferengi invade your thoughts with dreams of forgotten starships.
With dreams of their overbite.